So how many of you have solved this homework problem that was given to you guys? What is the answer that you are getting?
I got 11 by 84.
Okay, 11 by 84. Okay, others?
I got 1/4.
1 by 4. Okay. How 1 by 4? Can you explain?
So, like what I did was I assumed that A, B, C, D are the number of apples that they had,
Okay.
and then like the first condition was that D is equal to half of A plus B plus C,
Hmm.
and then I went for B is equal to 1/3 of A plus C plus D,
Okay.
and then A is equal to 2/5 of B plus C plus D. So I got 3 equations,
Okay.
and then by solving them, I like out of the 3 equations, I took out the value of A in terms of the other 3 variables and got again equation sets,
Okay.
and by which I was able to represent all the other numbers in terms of B.
Okay.
And then I solved the equation and I got to this.
Okay. Method is right. There has to be some calculation mistake. Answer is
Maybe.
11 by 84.
Okay.
So just recheck.
Okay. I got to know which I went wrong. I've written it correct, but I've assumed the value of B, but I have to assume it for D. So
Okay. Okay.
that went wrong.
Fair. Anyone who was not able to solve this question, by the way, maybe you can just put it in the chat box. I'll see. And by that time, I'll just try to solve this. That how this question could have been solved easier. Like, directly. So you have Raju. I think I have already solved this at some other place. I think we had this advanced arithmetic workshop where I solved this, but I'll just solve it again. This is Ramu and this is Raj. So see, stay with me here that it's given to you that Raju bought half the number of apples bought by the other 3. Raju bought, which means he bought half the number of apples bought by the other 3, which means if everyone else is buying, say 2, Raju is going to buy 1, right? This is what the question says. And similar information you have been given for all the things. But from here, the only common thing that you can say is, if Raju is buying 1, everyone else is going to buy 2, which means total apples are 3, which means Raju is going to have 1/3 of the total apples, right? So from statement number 1, you can directly say that if say total number is X and Raju is going to have X by 3. Why? Because when everyone else has 2, Raju is going to have 1. So total will be 3. So Raju will always have a fraction of 1/3 in comparison with the total. Similarly, if you move further, Ramu, okay, sorry, this was Raju, right? The next is Ramu. Ramu bought 1/3 the number of apples, which means Ramu का 1 होगा, तो बाकी 3 का 3 होगा, right? When Raju plus Ram plus Raj is 3, Ramu will be 1, so total will be 4, which means the fraction of Ramu will be 1/4. Similarly, Ram bought 2/5, which means others are 5, so Ram is 2, so total is 7, which means Ram has to be 2 by 7, 2x by 7, right? And I know that a total is x. Now you have to find Raj ka fraction. So directly in one liner, you can say it has to be 1 minus 1 by 3 plus 2 by 7 plus 1 by 4. So if you solve this, 7 3s are 21, 4s are 84, because these are the prime numbers. It will be 84 and it will be 11. So that's the answer. And you can solve it without even making all those equations. So what I've done is I had a lot of symmetrical equation. What I thought is if I am able to find because what was asked was find total ka fraction kitna hai Raj ka, right? That is what I had to find out. What is the fraction of apple that Raj is buying as compared to the total. So I assumed total to be x, and then I just simplified all the data that was given to me in terms of individual fractions. I had the 3 fractions, so other has to be total minus this. Is this clear? And how many of you have used the same method or recalled from my workshop? Because by this, you can solve this question within 1 minute. Otherwise, it will take you 2 plus 2 to 3 minutes, I think. Divya, you said 1 by 60. I hope it's clear now.
Yeah, I made a blunder. Instead of 2x by 7, I wrote the 2x by 5.
Okay. Fair. But I hope this method is clear to everyone. Shall we move on? Vishal, clear? Naman? Rishika?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, let's move on then.
Yes, sir, got it.
So again, a chocolate problem, it's an important concept, but we'll understand this concept using this example. So this is a question in front of you. Answers are, okay, it can be anything, including cannot be determined as well. This can also be an option. So please solve this. Okay, guys, time is up. Answers that I have received. Okay. So did I miss anything? I just joined. Okay, who was this? Catch few concept as I don't have theoretical. Sanchit, which is fine. As in, just try to stay here because you've just joined in. Just try to understand, and the moment I start a new topic, you can start solving it, and then I'll explain it. And if you face difficulty, ask me. Samriddhi, I think we just did one question as of now. Like we have just discussed the homework that I had given. Nothing much. So yeah, as of now, I have 3 answers. One is cannot be determined. Kishan says 48 rupees 46 paisa and 7 rupees 2 paisa, 8 rupees 2 paisa. Fair. Kishan, do you like to explain to everyone? And guys, what's like only 3 to 4 guys were able to solve this out of 60. So you can recheck your level. Yeah, go on.
Sir, no, I made
Yeah.
a question like X rupees would be 100x paisa. I basically made a equation 100x plus y equal to 350 paisa plus 200y plus 2x.
Okay. Now,
And then I got 198x is I got x is 198x equal to 350 plus 199y. Then I used remainder theorem to get x and y coefficient. That's how I got 46 and 48.
so Kishan, was that the only value? And did you
That's
try to recheck by putting in your value that is it satisfying your equation?
No, I did not because you said time is up. So I thought of putting the answer. I was going to
Okay.
do it.
Okay. Okay. What was your answer? 40?
48 rupees 46 paisa.
Okay. 48 rupees 46 paisa. Let's check 48 rupees and 46 paisa, which means X has to be 48 and Y has to be 46. Which means if you do a 48 here, 48 minus 3, it's never going to be 92, right? So the equation is definitely not matching, which means there has to be some mistake in the way we have solved this question. Okay. So I didn't see any right answer except one person, Chaitanya. Good, in fact, very good. But you have taken more than the required time, but at least you have solved this. So fair. Again, a new concept. And hence, I wanted you to at least try this question. So see, if you solve it using the conventional method, you'll only be able to find one equation, which is why I said intentionally that, okay, cannot be determined can also be an answer, but still like only one person has said that as an answer. Like, of course, that was a wrong answer, but yeah. So see, here, there's a very important concept. Let's see. It's given to me that I have X rupee and Y paisa. Okay, I've started with this. And okay, just a minute. Yes. So I started with X rupee and Y paisa, and I have spent 3 rupees and 50 paisa, right? So I'll just say that 3 rupees and 50 paisa is what I have spent. And finally, what I'm left with is, which means I have to minus this, and then what I'll be left with is 2y rupees and 2x paisa, so something like that. Of course, this is rupees and this is paisa, right? So it has to be somewhere in this form. Now see, there are two equations and there is one equation and there are two variables, right? Which is where the catch comes, that now how do I solve this question? Because of course, number of variables are more, which means I have to think something logically. I have to do some jugaad here so that I am able to solve this question. Otherwise, of course, this is non-solvable. Now, what is it that I can do? See, if you go by the convention method कि मैं सबको पैसे में convert कर दूं, you'll not be able to solve क्योंकि एक ही equation आ जाएगी. So I don't have to go to that method because that is non-solvable. So now what comes to my mind is कि यार ठीक है, this is normal subtraction. Now to subtract this, what do I need to do? मतलब when you're subtracting this number, जैसे हम लोग normal subtraction करते हैं, what is it that you actually need to know? You need to know कि whether y is less than 50 or y is greater than 50, right? Is this clear? Because if y is greater than 50, then you can simply say y minus 50 is equals to 2x. However, if y is less than 50, then you'll have to have a carryover, right? This is what we do. Is everyone clear with this? Because I'll not be able to explain again. So if you have any issues, ask me right now. Everyone clear? Yes, no? Okay.
No, sir.
No? Who was it?
Hello?
Mohammed? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what is the doubt? Okay. Okay. So I started with xy 350 minus here. This is what. So now to be able to subtract this, to be able to write an equation. See, if I know for the fact that y is greater than 50, my life becomes much easier, because then I can simply say y minus 50 is equals to 2x and x minus 3 is equals to 2y. And then I have two equations, two variable. Life is so easy. I'll just add them, subtract them to solve it. But do I know that y is greater than 50? I do not know it, right? So now what do we do? See, it is given to you that you have 2x paisa, right? Which means, of course, paisa has to be less than 100, right? Otherwise, it would have been converted into some rupee and paisa. So because of this data that I have 2x paisa, I can very clearly say that 2x has to be less than 100, right? Because I can only say that I have 10 rupees and 20 paisa, 10 rupees and 30 paisa. I never say that I have 10 rupees and 150 paisa. That does not make sense. So if I have something only in terms of paisa and rupees, then paisa has to be less than 100, because the maximum value of a paisa can be 100, which is equivalent to 1 rupee. So I can say that 2x ka value has to be less than 100, which means x has to be less than 50. X ka value I know for the fact that x has to be less than 50. Now coming to this part of an equation, तो यहाँ पे क्या हो रहा है इस साइड में? x में से मैं 3 माइनस करूंगा. It can be x or x minus 1 if it has given a carry over to y, but ठीक है. If I subtract and I know कि ये वाला जो number है, this is less than 50, right? If this is less than 50 and if I subtract 3 from it, then I know resultant will definitely be less than 50, right? Because कोई number है जो 50 से छोटा है, उसमें से अगर मैं 3 को minus करूंगा, definitely answer 50 से तो छोटा आएगा. I don't know कितना आएगा, but I know for the fact कि it's going to be less than 50. Now resultant is 2y, which means 2y is less than 50. अगर 2y का value 50 से छोटा है, that implies कि y तो 50 से छोटा हो गई, because y is less than 25, so y will definitely be less than 50. So यहाँ से coming back to the part which I wanted to know and figure out कि यार y का value 50 से ज्यादा है या कम है. I have figured कि y का value 50 से कम है, y is not greater than 50, which means अगर y का value 50 से कम है तो यहाँ से एक carry over आएगा, right? This value will become what? I'll just use a different color so that you don't mess up. But abhi tak I hope it's clear. Try to think it out. Yes. So यहाँ से एक carry over आएगा. Remember, this is a unit of rupees and this is a unit of paisa. So if I have a carry over of 1 rupee from x to y, 1 rupee is equivalent to 100 paisa. This will become y plus 100, right? Because I'm having a carry over of 1 rupee. And this will become x minus 1 rupee, because इसने एक carry दे दिया है. It's simple law of subtraction. So now my equations will be y plus 100 minus 50 is equals to 2x and x minus 1 minus 3 is equals to 2y. Now I have two equations, two variables. You'll just solve this and you'll get your answer. If there is any doubt here, let me know.
Sir, could you just explain the part where there's a carryover to y from x? I missed out it.
Okay, so just try to think it out. Maybe think it aloud. When do we need a carryover?
When there is shortage, like we need to
Correct.
borrow it from someone.
Correct. So we know that we will need a carryover if y is less than 50. So for example, if I have to do say 23 minus 15, I will do a carryover from 2 to 3 because 3 is less than 5. So I cannot do 3 minus 5 equals to 2, right? That is not something I can do. So I'll do a carryover. So this will become 1 and this will become 13, right? 10 plus 3. So I'll do 13 minus 5 is equals to 8 and this will be 0. So answer will be 8. This is the normal law of subtraction. So I've applied it here. I figured out that y is less than 50. How did I figure this out? Because 2x has to be less than 100 because it is in unit of pace. It is in unit of paisa. So x has to be less than 50. If x is less than 50 and if I'm subtracting 3 from it, resultant 2y will be less than 50. If 2y is less than 50, y is less than 25, which means y is definitely less than 50. So there'll be a carryover. Carryover will be from the unit of rupees, which means rupees se agar paisa mein carry over hoga, to 1 rupee is equals to 100 paisa. So this will be y plus 100 minus 50 is equals to 2x. And this will be x minus 1 because it has given a carryover of 1. X minus 1 minus 3 equals to 2y. Now you have two equations, two variables. Just solve it. You will get 32.14 as your answer, which means x equals to 32 and y equals to 14. It was a very beautiful question. Lot of concepts, but easy ones to understand because it's just a law of subtraction. Answer is 32.14. Everyone clear? Yes, no? Shall we move on? Yes, no, yes, no. Just comment yes, no. ठीक है. Okay. Fair. So काफी अच्छा question था, काफी different question था, not the normal ones that you would see, but yes, again, it's a part of equations. Moving further, let's make our life slightly easier. More difficult questions कर लिए. So again, everyone put down your pen and paper. Time to solve some questions orally. Okay. Here's the question. Try if you can solve it orally. अगर लग रहा है कि orally नहीं होगा, only then use pen and paper. The answers. So what I'll do is I'll also give you options. A is 4 by 5, B, C, D, 3 by 4, 5 by 6, and none of these. Okay. Rishika, Happy, Daksh. Okay. Good. 7 students out of 62 have responded. Sanjana, Priyanshi, Chaitanya, Mohit. Feeling sleepy? Okay. 15 students have said this. 1 student has said none of these. Plus 1. Okay. I'll add one more option. 3 by 7 goes to Pawan. Plus 1 plus 3. Okay. Mayur, Kulkarni. Okay. Fair. Let us stop. Kafi time ho gaya. All those, maybe we'll start with Pawan. Pawan, how 3 by 7?
So I took x by y as a ratio.
and then normally x plus 1 by y plus 1 is equal to 3 by 4.
Come on.
So
So
we
you're
get,
saying x plus 1 upon y plus 1, right?
yeah,
Is equals to 3 by 4. Okay.
yeah. So
X
we
minus
get
1 upon
4x
y minus
and-
1 is equals to 5 by 6. Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
So
So
we're
now,
getting two equations. 4x minus 3y is equal to minus 1,
Mhm.
and 6x minus 5y. 5y. I got it.
okay, now,
I made a mistake here, right? So
okay. So now you're saying x equals to 3 and y equals to 7. It
no,
satisfies
no, I
this?
made a mistake here. I made a mistake solving these equations.
Okay. Okay. Fair. Okay. Now, going back to students who have said, which is the majority chunk. Good. So can anyone tell me, how did you get 4 by 5? Any student?
So may I try?
Yeah. Yes, Sanjit, go on.
Okay, so I started off with that only. I took x by y as the ratio, and I made first equation by adding x plus 1, y plus 1 is equal to 3 by 4. Then cross multiplying, I get one equation from there. And then for the second equation, I did x minus 1, y minus 1 equals to 5 by 6. Second from there, and solving two equations, I got the value of x and y and substituted, and I got that 4 by 5.
So these were the equations you would have gotten, right? 4x minus 3y equals to minus 1.
Right. First one was 4x minus 3y is minus 1. Second was 6x minus 5y is equal to 1.
Correct. So, and you're saying that after solving this, you have gotten x equals to 4 and y equals to 5. Hence-
I solved for y. I got y. Yeah, I got y as minus 5, and then I substituted in first equation. I got x as minus 4.
Okay.
Like that. Yeah. So
Okay.
x by y 4 by 5. Yeah.
But then if x by y is 4 by 5, then x has to be 4 and y has to be 5, right? As
Yeah.
in, if it is a proper fraction, then we know that proper fraction is, as in like x equals to 4 and y equals to 5. Does it satisfy this equation, the first one?
No, sir. It's not satisfying.
It is not satisfying. Okay. So fair. I think most of you have made the same mistake. By you've tried to solve the equation, you've gotten the answer as minus 4 and minus 5, and then you have said minus 4 by minus 5 is same as 4 by 5, so answer has to be 4 by 5. But no, answer can't be 4 by 5, because if you're saying 4 by 5 as the answer, then x has to be 4 and y has to be 5, and this must satisfy your equation, which it won't. So I'll tell you कि यहाँ पे problem क्या होगा. Answer was none of this, because there is no such number that fulfill this condition. That is the answer. I think a couple of students have also gotten none of these, may have gotten the same answer. So see, in a proper fraction, if 1 is added to both the numerator and the denominator, first of all, let me tell you that proper fraction is a fraction where x has to be less than y. So for example, we have a proper fraction 1 by 2. Now, if I'm trying to add any number to the numerator and to the denominator, there's a rule that what happens is the number actually moves towards 1, which means that if the number is less than 1, and if you try to add any number to both numerator and denominator, it will move to 1, which actually means that it will increase. What I'm saying is, if the number is say 1 by 2, and if you try to add say 1 to both numerator and denominator, this will become 2 by 3, then it will become 3 by 4, then it will become 4 by 5, then it will become 5 by 6, then it will become 6 by 7. So if you see and observe, the numbers are increasing. This is 50%, this is 67%, this is 75%, this is 80%, and so on and so forth, right? So what happens is, this rule must have been told to you, or you must have studied it somewhere. But yeah, the rule is that whenever the number is still less than 1, and if you try to add something to both numerator and denominator, it moves towards 1. Now, similarly, if you actually say, like, put up a number which is greater than 1, right? This number is like greater than 1. Now, if you try to add 1, what will happen? You don't need to remember this. Just always pick up some examples and then substitute the values and then try to solve it yourself. So 3 by 2, then 4 by 3, then 5 by 4, then 6 by 5. So what's happening is this is 1 by 0.5, this is 1.33, this is 1.25, this is 1.2. So numbers are actually decreasing. So the thumb rule to remember or to note down is whenever you have a fraction and you add any constant, the same constant to both numerator and denominator, the numbers move towards unity, which means agar number 1 se bada hoga, so it will decrease, and if the numbers are less than 1, it will increase. Ye clear hai sabko? Now what's happening? So this is when you add. Now if you try to subtract, again you can say ki yaar theek hai, my initial number was 6 by 7, I have subtracted 1, so it's 5 by 6, then 4 by 5, then 3 by 4, then 2 by 3, then 1 by 2, which means if you subtract, iska exactly ulta hoga, the numbers will reduce. If you have understood this concept and then if you try to solve this orally, so how would you solve this question orally? It's given in a proper fraction, which means the number has to be less than 1. If 1 is added to both the numerator and denominator, the fraction becomes 3 by 4. So now I want an answer from everyone. If you're adding 1 to both the numerator and denominator, the fraction is becoming 3 by 4. So the earlier fraction would be greater than 3 by 4, or will it be less than 3 by 4? Just think it out and say to me, ki, jo bhi fraction hai, x by 5. If you're adding 1, numbers has to increase, right? Because proper fraction is less than 1. So if you have a proper fraction, say 1 by 2, and if you're adding something and to both numerator and denominator, it is becoming some fraction. So which means pehle wala fraction has to be less than that, or it has to be more than that. I think, yes, very good. It has to be less than it, right? It is absolutely clear to everyone that the initial fraction has to be less, which means I know for the fact that the fraction has to be less than 3 by 4. Clear? I know it. Now let us move on. Now we have a fraction which is less than 3 by 4. And if I try to subtract 1 from both the numerator and denominator, what will happen? Number will be less than 3 by 4, or will it increase? You have a number which is less than 1, which is in fact less than 3 by 4. You're subtracting something. You know, agar main subtract karta hu numerator and denominator se numbers reduce hota hai. So will the number be less than 3 by 4 or greater than 3 by 4? Pawan, no. Don't jump to 5 by 6. Abhi tak humne 5 by 6 padha bhi nahi hai. How are you saying more? Only I want this statement to be understood. Don't even read this statement. Abhi ke liye just ignore this. You have a number which is less than 3 by 4. Say the number is 3 by 4. And if you're subtracting 1 from both numerator and denominator, kya hoga? 2 by 3, then 1 by 2. So is the number increasing or is it decreasing? This was 75%. This was 67%. This is 50%. Numbers are decreasing, right? As you're subtracting something. This is what I have just mentioned you. Which means you had a number which was less than 3 by 4. If you subtract 1 from both numerator and denominator, the final fraction has to be less than 3 by 4, right? And what the question says that the final fraction becomes 5 by 6. How is it even possible? Because 5 by 6 is greater than 3 by 4. Yahan se what I have figured is that the final fraction has to be 3 by 4. But the question says that the fraction becomes 5 by 6. It is absolutely not possible. So find the fraction. I cannot determine this fraction because there is no such fraction. Take 1 minute, think what I have done, absorb the concept, and then tell me if you have any doubts.
Sir, in the earlier method, I didn't even solve those equations. I just put the value of 1, like we got 2 equations, no? Hello?
Yeah, Nandini, I'm listening. Go on.
4x minus 3y equal to minus 1 and 6x minus 5y equal to 1. So I just put 4x minus 3y equal to minus of 6x minus 5y. So I didn't find the value of x and y, just got 4x minus 3y equal to minus 1.
Correct.
6x minus 5y equal to 1.
Correct.
Yeah.
This is what.
So that's why
gotten, right?
Yeah.
Correct.
So I couldn't even find that x and y are getting, means I'll be getting
okay,
those
they're getting
to be
cancelled.
negative.
Okay. Fair point. So this is where some trick comes into the picture, that whatever answer you're getting, maybe just spend 10 seconds to cross check. See, only cross check if you have a none of these in your option. Only see in exam, most of the questions are MCQ and you have options. None of these and cannot be determined. Be aware of these options. If you have these options, spend 10-15 seconds more and cross check by whatever answer you're getting, that is it satisfying my equation or there is a trick involved. Because like a theta based method, they can't have a CBD unless it is mentioned somewhere in the question. Most of the questions will be MCQ, so always try to cross check the values कि कुछ trick तो नहीं हो रहा है, कुछ corner case तो नहीं है. ठीक है, यहाँ पे क्या हो रहा है, algebraically if we solve it we get a fraction as 4/4, but then when we say it comes out कि यार actual में fraction है ही नहीं, what was happening was it was coming out as -4 by -5. या फिर even now if you say ना कि मतलब x equals to 4 and y equals to 5, it will not even satisfy these equations. तो वहां से hint मिलता है कि यार नहीं, there is some catch here, because ratios में what happens is there can be multiple numbers because it is the simplified form. So that is what was happening here. Shall we move on? Clear है सबको?
Sir, this is only applicable for proper fractions.
No. See, this is applicable to all the fractions. I've even given you a fraction, right? We have started with 3/2. So if you add, this is 4/3, then 5/4, then 6/5. Numbers are decreasing. Why they are decreasing? Because the number is, see, this is unity, right? This is 1. So if you have a fraction that is less than 1, then if you add something, it will come closer to 1. And if you have a number which is not a proper fraction, which is greater than 1, if you add something, the number will again go to 1, which means they will decrease. So just remember this concept, that numbers always move towards unity, and that's it. It covers all the cases. If you add something, if you subtract, exactly ulta hoga. And always try to visualize it. कि ठीक है, always take some random numbers and then check it yourself whether it makes sense or not. Okay.
So that's all for today. I hope you all have learned something new. So yeah, stay tuned and press the subscribe button to be notified on the next video.